Hello and welcome to episode 10, the first double digit episode of Guardian Talks. Glad you could make it, glad you could join me. And the title of today's Guardian Talks is The Prophecy of Red October. Ominous. So, this really begins back in 2010 when I was still fairly new into the truther movement. I mean, I could say I became a truther 2007 really, was when it really kicked in. But in 2009-10 I was living in a place called Runcorn in the UK. And in Runcorn I had a friend, Terry his name was, and we met actually at a Buddhist meditation program that was being run in one of the local centres in Runcorn on a weekly basis. And we found that our interests align. He was a truther. He was also a deep researcher, probably one of the most deep researchers I'd come across at the time. And he introduced me to a forum that he would regularly visit and frequent online. It's called the 2012 Forum. It doesn't exist anymore. You can find it on the Wayback Machine, although lots of parts of it are missing, inaccessible, but a good portion of it is still there and still available. Now, of course, back in 2009, 2010, the 2012 prophecy was the big thing in New Age truther movements. The prophecy, the 2012 prophecy, the Mayan long count calendar. But this forum included many other things and many other topics, and I remember my friend drew my attention to a thread that he'd been following, which contained seemingly a conversation between two time travelers who were, on the face of it, speaking gibberish to each other. A lot of coded language, number sequences. It was fascinating to read, and it was great fun trying to make head and tail of it and trying to see if we could discern or pick out things that we could then be aware of and witness as they unfolded. I only really remember one thing from that thread, and it stuck with me all of these years since. And it was the part of the thread that said, that essentially stated that the big shift, a huge one, would occur, and it would be called the month of Red October. Red October. That was its designation. Now, at the time, those early days, we had all sorts of theories, really. We had the theories of something to do with the weather. It was going to be like a scorching, unusually hot October because of weather manipulation. That was the favourite theory at the time. In recent years, that when I first came across the whole Q boards and Q thing, Red October got brought up in regards to the film The Hunt for the Red October, which actually aligns very much with what's going on now between in that whole movie with and I'm not talking about the film Red October, I'm talking about the movie we are experiencing between Russia and America and the Democrats' seeming drive to push the world into World War III. So for a while I thought, well, maybe that was it. and that's what it was in reference to. However, in recent weeks, I have come to realize that in fact the prophecy of the Red October is indeed for this year, but it is actually a plunge into a large-scale macro despair event. I'm going to call it a despair event, and I'll explain more of that in a second. Anybody who's been watching what's been occurring across the world right now, and who's been listening to some of my prior videos, knows that tensions are spiking, that regardless of where you are in the world, there is some form of conflict either occurring or brewing. The tolerance levels of people are being tested to the max. Daily violence is occurring on the streets of heretofore thought of as civilized cities and nations across the Western world. Conflict and violence those parts of the world thought that they had overcome and mostly moved away from, only to find themselves plunged into it deeper than they could have ever imagined. As I speak, Israel is in the process of engaging in a land incursion into Lebanon. Let's face it, it's an invasion. Let's not mince words. We all know what's going on in the Ukraine. So what do I mean by a macro plunge into the despair? Well, as you know, as a guardian of GPMS World, I've stated many times that the choice of GPMS could be made instantaneously around the world, and the changes that would bring would be very immediate, very rapid, and could be done so peacefully, bloodlessly, and effectively. But that choice isn't being made. It's being made on an ever-increasing level, and not just in GPMS. For those who aren't aware of GPMS, there are still many people and many groups out there who are moving towards systems of parallel autonomy which are virtuous, honorable, and hold integrity. That's what they are seeking. And they have made the, I would say, correct choice to break away from old systems and look towards implementing new systems, parallel to, which is a step in the right direction. The ultimate best step, however, is the unified, full movement and decision into the future as one. But they are moving in the right direction. So that is spreading and rising. But at the same time, the nefarious ones, the dark ones, however you wish to call them, they know that this is happening, and they know effectively that the game's over. So they are kicking and screaming, and they are doing everything in their power to try to survive in any and which way they can. Even though ultimately, I believe they know that it is a failing endeavor. They have already lost. So, in essence, they are just in a process of, let's say, I've lost, but I'm going down, but I'm going to try and take as many down with me as I can, It's a spiteful thing. It's really boiling down to ultimate desperate spite for them. The despair that the rest of the world is being plunged into is unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, an unnecessary necessity, it seems. It seems that it's still not quite bad enough. It's still not quite enough pressure to crack and break people out of their matrix reverie, whatever version or form of matrix reverie that takes for each individual. And so, the universe, in conjunction with the Gaian energies, the energies of Earth, seem to be making a move. And their move isn't really to do anything other than to remove the breakers and remove the restrictions and the restraints on the conflicts which are building and brewing. In essence, it's let it all go and let it play out to its full, at its maximum. Up until now, the divine, I believe, the universal energies and Gaia have been holding back a lot of the negative and nefarious forces from doing some of the things they want to do in full force, in the hopes that humanity would make the choice with the minimal need for any conflict or bloodshed. But, however, humanity as a whole is yet to make that choice. And so with wise love and profound compassion, those energies of protection and of dampening against the dark forces have been removed. It's only our energies now, us beings upon the face of the earth. Our frequencies as individuals are now, or have now, taken the world off Atlas's shoulders and placed it onto our own. What we are as an individual being will dictate the weight of that world as it is rested upon our shoulders, and our capacity and ability to bear it for the coming period. There will be some of us who take more weight than others. There will be some of us for whom it will be barely noticeable, light as a feather, and everything in between. The crushing weight to the lofty cloud in the sky. But it is ours now, in this month of October, for certain. And it seems to me that the prophecy of the Red October is blood. I've not felt a pulse of emotion like that for some time. And I will not beg or plead for anyone, to anyone, anymore. That time is gone. I must now do as the universe and the earth does. I must now be wise with my love and profound with my compassion. And I must patiently watch as the world falls into true despair And as I have mentioned before, despair, although extremely uncomfortable and oftentimes painful, the absolute most distilled form of suffering, when experienced, is essentially hell on earth like you've never experienced. And every second becomes an hour, and the cries for it to end are loud and sharp. But it is from despair that we are given the springboard to make the ultimate choice for ourselves as individuals, to either transition or to break through and finally uplift, releasing all of those things in a relief of acceptance, and finally knowing that it is okay and that we can forgive ourselves as we forgive those who have. And in the release of that, we rise in frequency. We become wiser, and the acceleration, there is no limit to the level and speed at which the acceleration from there can go. And brothers and sisters, if that can happen on an individual level, as it does and has happened on individual levels, what do you think that is going to do and look like on the macro level? When an individual does it, it's a wondrous and beautiful and miraculous thing. So what's going to happen, and what's it going to look like when the whole world jumps off that springboard? There may be many that won't make it, but there will be so many more that will. And then, finally, maybe, just maybe, humanity and the world will finally be able to open themselves to the possibility that not only is there another way, but it can be done immediately, and all it ever required was the choice to do so and the full trust that that choice will be fulfilled when we all make it together. My brothers and sisters, this month is going to be challenging and trying. Have no fear and be in full trust. You were meant to be here in this time. You were meant to be where you are in this time. You are what you are for a reason here, now. To my brothers and sisters and fellow guardians, be it guardians of GPMS, CABI, whatever organization that is moving towards a united and peaceful earth. This is your time. This is our time. Know it and be it, and Trust it. Because the world needs you right now. Humanity needs you right now. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, yet make allowance for their doubting too. Wise ones, beautiful ones, compassionate ones. Are you ready? I am ready. Are you ready? Are we ready to embrace this next chapter, this next stage? I trust you are. And if you have watched up until this moment, I know you are. And divine bless you for it. My name is Michael Wolfston. I am a guardian of GPMS and a watcher of the ascension of mankind, humanity upon the face of this beautiful earth. And it is an honor and a pleasure and a privilege to be stood next to so many of my brothers and sisters who are also. Go forth. Be what you are and always were meant to be. And I shall see you on the next episode. Thank you for watching. Always my greatest love, light, and gratitude for you all. Let's get through this together. Let's step into the new world together.